Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to another video. And I am on my way to a mountain climb because the gym session this morning apparently wasn't freaking brutal enough. We're going to go and climb Mount Coolum. And that kind of leads me into today's topic, suffering. This one is inspired from all of the work that I'm putting in right now, all of the suffering that I decide to put myself into, and even some of it that I don't decide to put myself into. But it's also inspired from a bit of an Instagram reel that I saw. So whoever created that reel, thank you for making that and giving me the inspiration for this video. And very grateful for you doing the work that you are doing. I don't know who it was, so I can't give credits. But the topic is suffering, and suffering is one of those things that I've spoken about that we generally perceive in a negative way, and this comes up to it, from our upbringing, and the way that we are taught from a society to actually look at suffering. Suffering can be a very, very good thing. It just depends on how you want to frame your mind to look at that suffering. I go to the gym to purposely put myself through suffering, and it's a controlled suffering. It's a controlled, stressful environment. It's a physical suffering, and it's a mental suffering as well. But I do that because I know the benefits that are going to come from it. Now, I get rewards from that suffering because I know the destination that I have in place. The problem that we have as a society is that we are constantly seeking pleasure. Now, the issue with pleasure is the fact that generally speaking, our pleasure comes from a place of a finite destination. So you have a goalpost that you have set, and that is a set place, and we look at it, say, as I need to make this X amount of money, I need to buy this car, I need to have X amount of sexual partners, or whatever that state of pleasure might be, or even Netflix. Netflix is a place of pleasure, but it is very hollow pleasure. And sure, we need to relax. That's not what I'm saying. We do need to unwind, and we can't be go all the bloody time. But the reason that we are seeking pleasure is because we don't like suffering, and we create this state in our mind that if we get to this point of pleasure, then all of our problems are going to go away. And most of the time, when it is set to that finite destination, is once you hit that, then what's next? Then you're going to have to, because we are ultimately pleasure-seeking creatures. That goalpost then needs to be moved. Now, suffering is an aspect that for particular branches, and I'm going to call them philosophies, they can be perceived in other ways, but neuroscience, Taoism, Buddhism, and Stoicism, all four branches, and neuroscience or neurobiology, depending on which way you want to say it, is obviously a branch of science, but all science is essentially a new form of philosophy. We're just using kind of a different language to explain how we are trying to describe this universe. Taoism and Buddhism can be seen as branches of Taoism particularly. Buddhism is a bit of a borderline, but those are branches of kind of religion, which essentially are just a fancy branch of philosophy. And Stoicism itself is a literal form of philosophy, but to some people it actually might become a religion. But anyway, all four of those branches of philosophy all look at suffering in basically the same way, in the sense that Buddhism literally says, life is suffering. So if we can change our perception of suffering, and then so the way that we look at it, then your reward chemicals, the reward systems within your own body are then going to change, and you're going to actively seek suffering and start looking at it in a very, very positive light. And that's where a lot of beauty is, and that's where your growth is going to come from. Going to the gym is, once again, is a very that's forced suffering that I am deciding to do, to put myself through, because I know the rewards that are at the end of it. I know that if I put in the work, if I put in the reps, then when I hit that 7% body fat, then I'm going to that's going to be my pleasure moment. But I know that isn't the end. That's just a goal along the journey, and that's just a milestone that I'll hit. I'll be like, fuck yes, I've got that. Now it's on to the next stage. And there is obviously danger within that by doing it that way, but it's not necessarily about that destination for me. It is about the journey. It's the friendships that I'm making at the gym. It's how I am feeling physically right now, how I'm feeling mentally right now because of the diet and the suffering that I'm doing for the diet. The no alcohol, no carbs, none of the fun shit, no lollies, none of the good things that we generally seek out, from those pleasurable moments in our life, in our diet. The lollies, the bags of chips, alcohol, as I said, smoking as well. Smoking's obviously a very real one, but it's the suffering that I'm putting into myself, into my body, into my mind, and that is where I am getting a lot of the reward chemicals released into my brain. And I recognize that. And the gym is the same. It's about the process, it's about the journey, and I'm loving loving most of the journey. There's times when it's bloody tough and you don't want to do it, but that's where the discipline comes into it. Motivation will only get you so far, but it's the discipline to endure that suffering. That's where the strength comes from. And that's the beauty of it. If you can change your perception of the suffering, again, change your perception on how you view suffering, then your life is going to dramatically improve, because you are going to then look at the hurdles and challenges in your life in a very different light, in a very different aspect, and you're going to start embracing them with open arms and saying, fuck yes, I can do this. And I believe in you. I believe that you can endure that suffering, and you can start viewing it in a much more positive light. And I believe in your own strength to be able to endure that suffering. Start small. Don't just go completely ham, because that's, where, if that's what you feel like you need to do, then go ahead and do that. But I wouldn't suggest it, because that's how you can really catastrophically damage your life, I guess. But sometimes that is also what you need. So whatever your life path is, ease into it, ease into that suffering. Maybe start with your diet, cut some sugar out, don't just give up alcohol, give up soft drink, whatever that looks like. Start small and set that goal, and stay regimented in that process, and endure that suffering, and start enjoying that suffering, because that is where a lot of your strength can come from. But anyhow, that's it. I am about to, not far from pulling up to the mountain, but like I said, all I wanted to do was talk about suffering. I've got a cool little analogy around the Roman Empire on suffering, but I'll share that with you guys one day. It's more around pleasure, more around the Roman Empire and pleasure, and how I believe that their constant seeking of pleasure led to their downfall of the Roman civilization. Anyway, story for another day. If you want to hear that one, then just reach out. I'll be happy to share my thoughts on that personally with you until I share it in another video. Then I'll probably forget and never share it again. But anyhow, that's it. Signing off, guys. Thank you for tuning in. I want to know, what are your views on pleasure? What are your views on suffering? Are they good or bad? Let me know. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share, comment, turn on the bell notifications, all of that fun stuff. And until the next video, if I survive this mountain and survive the suffering that I'm about to endure after a brutal freaking leg session this morning, then hopefully I'll get to catch you guys in the next video. Anyway, thank you for tuning in. And as always, much love and namaste.